they come to Francis Farm, sometime around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, they have our famous chowder and clam cakes. And so we feed them for lunch. And then they might, depending on the party and the time of the dinner meal, they'll use the grounds, and they just have all kinds of activities and organized games and unorganized games. It's just relaxing. And then once the bake is put on, they're kind of getting ready to sit down and eat. The tables are being set, and everybody's getting in their seat and getting ready for a feast. I grew up here as a kid, and I came out here when I was 12 years old, and way back when my grandfather purchased this in '58, it had a grandness about it. Everything was neat as a pin. People remembered when they come out here to a clambake, it's something that you look forward to go to every year. It's like Christmas, honest to God. It's just something you look forward to. I had been gone from the farm for about 30 years, and when I came back here and we purchased it in 2004, it had lost that. The buildings had deteriorated, it hadn't been maintained, and it just needed a lot of repair. This is going to be a first-class destination very shortly in New England. There's very few places like Francis Farm left around. I think the economy drove them all out, and development reasons and the permitting, and so we have a unique place.
One of the things is that we're a year-round facility, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think that we're a clambake facility, and we close when the season gets cold. But because we have all these pavilions, we can be here all year long. Anybody can come here and have a family or a corporation and have a bake in December. As long as you can get the clams and the rockweed, you're all set.
Hey, Leslie, you were looking for a kilt, or was that you, Janet? Here he is! Whack for the daddy, see a partner around the floor, you jolly shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun and winning is great. Whack for the daddy, see a partner around the floor, you jolly shake. Wasn't it the truth I told you? Lots of fun and winning is great.
The old days when they used to drop those clothespins and bottles, those games are gone. Times have changed, people are different. So we built an arcade for the children. Adults even take advantage of that, especially in bad weather. If it rains, you got somewhere to go. We have brand new volleyball courts. We have a regulation softball field, horseshoe courts. We're presently constructing our new museum that will be available to all the parties.
This is a divider, and they're making it so that it's easy to move around, I think. It's high enough so that somebody that's like your height can still read the top, and the smaller kids can read something down lower. And we told Jimmy what we wanted, and we had gone to different places. I went to a different place. Ken would go to a different place. We'd come back and say, oh, we love this, we love that. We both agreed on pine.
During the summer months we're busy. We have about 75 to 100 people on the payroll. We have wait staff, waiters, and prep people, and us bartenders, and foremans, and supervisors, and groundskeepers. Most of them, I would say 70% of them are young people, high school and college students. I think Francis Farm has helped more people through college than anyone in the area. What's happening is we have so many buildings and so many different parties now. As people book their outings, they're in different buildings. So we've named buildings like one area called it Miller Hall after my grandfather, and Francis Hall after Mr. Francis, and so on. So this way here, you can identify where your party's going to be and where you'll be gathering for the day, so to speak. I guess the real uniqueness about the niche that we have, so to speak, is the fact that it's outdoors. People can come here and spend the day. They can relax. We feed them twice. We give them a nice lunch. We use the same recipes they did 120 years ago with the chowder and the clam cakes. I think you just relax all day, and it's a safe place to be. The children can run, and there's 60 acres here to enjoy, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot that you can do here. The old folks, the older people who appreciate Clambakes love to come to Francis Farm because nothing has changed.
All right, my name is Ken Fold. I'm with the Francis Farm. We're going to be serving in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Ken Fold.
Nice to meet you, Ken.
This is our third year, isn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Good, yeah.
I'm only here 2 years, so this is my second time.
Okay, yeah.
And they love it.
Do they?
Oh, they look forward to it.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good. We enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun, and the staff enjoys it.
Oh, yes.
It's a good day.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
So, thank you. You look very nice in the hat, by the way.
Thank you for it.
All right.
7 clams.
All right, ladies.
7.
What's the verdict? Charlie's good? Nice, yeah. All right, we're coming back next year, so make sure you...
I hope we're here.
Oh, you'll be here, don't worry.
97-year-old, hardly eats anything, and he just ate 7 clam cakes. Wow!
We cater to all different types of groups and activities, from outings, company outings, to weddings, birthday parties, reunions.
It is a challenge. And here at the Bob Clancy, the Bob Clancys are doing rather well.
.50% of most of our business is from Providence and Taunton, the Attleboroughs, and the Fall River area. But we have parties now coming out of Boston. We're reaching out to the tour groups in the area to come in here during the week.
You guys are a few short minutes away, and we're going to sanitize on the side, get this show started.
They've been going on for years throughout this Westport, Swansea, you know, they've all the way up down the coast, even in Maine I think they have it. But I think Francis Farm, it's the last remaining facility continuously being run since the 1800s.
Elbridge Francis is the one that bought the property from the Horton family. This was the Horton family farm. He had a son, and the son's name was Peleg. Peleg married Jenny Carpenter, and they had a son, William, their only child. So Peleg's really the one that we talk about because he's the one that started the family business of Clambakes.
He was an entrepreneur, and maybe the rock farming wasn't going too good for him, so he decided to put on Clambakes. Once the Clambake thing took over, it didn't take him long to figure it out that he should get out of farming and get into doing the bakes. William worked it until the 1958, when my grandfather, Frank Miller, and his son-in-law purchased it from Mr. Francis. Peleg Francis, I think the first bake he put on was for the Goff family, who still come here, by the way, for 120 years. They have a gathering, and some years it's over 500 people.
It started with the Goff family gathering, that's what it is. As far as on record, there are 137 family gatherings. We have a signature book where we have, I'm not quite sure how far back it goes, but I'm pretty sure it goes to almost the very beginning. And it's always been a tradition to be here at the Francis farm. And it's branched off with 12 children, and that's where the original 12 families come from. My family is family 9 and generation 7. So we're the 7th generation of that 9th child. Really the family's branched everywhere, and now with everyone moving everywhere for their jobs, this is really important to them, and we still find that they come from throughout the country, from all the way out west, down south in Texas, all over. Okay, this should be a good one. The 1961. The way the camera did it, it was a scanner, so it would scan across. What the kids would do, and you can tell from this kid in the white shirt right here, that they'd start at one end, he would run behind the back, and by the time the camera got to here, the young man would show up into the picture twice. I just miss being the spoon baby, which is the youngest baby to be here when the gathering comes around every year. And just ever since I was born, ever since I came here, it's been 21 years now, I haven't missed one yet. And it's just so special and important. My grandfather was president, My father's now vice president of the organization, and I hope one day to follow in their footsteps. It's just been such a milestone and such a foundation in my life that you're a part of this wonderful, amazing thing here that I look forward to it every year, and it's wonderful to come back to the Francis Farm and enjoy it.
The bake master, that's the guy who calls the shots and tells when you should start the fire, when the fire is hot enough, how much weed, the clams, the canvases, do you wet it, do you don't wet it, and it's quite a responsibility.
It's an art to be able to take all of that food and in a short time period to have all that food come out and serve it all hot, all cooked.
When we come out here in 1958, there was a fellow named Ray Collins. He worked there his whole life, and that was his job, the bake master, and it was passed on to him by Mr. Francis. And then, of course, my grandfather always put on bakes. He could do it. But right now, all three of my sons can put on bakes. Preparing the food is a 3 or 4 hour project in itself. They wash the clams, which takes 3 or 4 hours to do. They soak them. We have a process that we use here to help clean them.
And you're actually taking your hands and just jumping them up and down. If you only do one washing, it's not going to get all the sand out, so that when you have your bake, you're going to have this little sand grip. So 3 times is usually the best.
We like to buy Maine clams if possible. They're less sandy. Most of the time they're mud clams. In some cases Canada, or even native Rhode Island clams. But native Rhode Island clams used to be on the sandy side. We start from scratch. We build a bake on a hard surface. We use fire brick, and we start with a cradle of wood and rocks, or now we're using steel ingots. They're reusable.
The wood has been coming from our own property because of the expansion of the pavilions and halls.
We get through about 60 cords, average year. It's kind of a land management program that we have going here. And the idea is to light this fire, which takes about an hour and a half to burn off the wood. And at that point, the rocks or ingots reach a heat temperature of about 1,400 degrees.
See where the red dot is? We're about 1,100 degrees right there. So they range anywhere from 1,100 to 1,400 degrees.
At that point, those rocks are spread out evenly on the ground. When you're putting 20, 30, 40 bushels of clams on, that's a huge, huge pile of hot rocks or hot ingots. Getting close to that area to work it to level the stones is very difficult. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to work safely. You've got to work. You got to know how to work around that type of thing. On top of that, we put rockweed that is gathered right here in Newport. So we'll go down and gather it right off the rocks once a week. We pick the rockweed all throughout this area. The boat actually goes out, the skiff goes out where those rocks are, way over at the other side where it's more plentiful. So Luke, working hard. I did this in early 60s when I was young, and now Kenny and his brothers, they're carrying on the tradition here.
This whole cove, it's all full of rocks. So what we just got an off-beat path. We never pick any of the rocks with all the seaweed on them now, just so we don't wreck our boat. Because my GPS system up front really isn't the best. He's real chatty, but oh, you gotta get ready to. It's easier to pick the seaweed in the water. Yeah, it's easy to cut. It's easy to grab some like bigger pieces.
I'm with you, Dad.
on the same page today?
Yeah.
Why the Francis Farm has the best clambakes in the world.
Depending on the amount of parties that are happening, we'll gather it all up, put it in bags, and bring it back. On top of the rockweed, we put our food, which is the clams, fish, onions, sausage, dressing, corn while it's in season. And we cover that with canvases. If the temperature is right, and you put the right amount of rockweed, the right amount of canvases, it takes an hour. The amount of steam, what water gives off, there's little things to look for that a bake master would know. We've never lost one since we've been doing them. Haven't lost one yet. Pull the canvases and the feast begins. Everyone is fed by waiters, and we bring it as quick as it takes. About an hour and a half, just from the beginning, the time you start eating, when you get up from the table. It's a unique taste. Anyone who ever had a clam bake should really experience it. It's really it's different, you know, and it's very good. I mean, everyone has their idea what a real clam bake is, but I think the way we do them, it's been done for 120 years, and with the rockweed, the rocks, and the canvases, and by far, it's because everyone claims to have the best, but we have a great chowder and we put on a good bake. You know, we keep talking about the Francis Farm clam bakes, which we are famous for. But I think one of the things we're almost as famous for is our barbecued chicken. We have the best open pit barbecue chicken in the world. The same recipe's been around since they started it in the 1900s when they started doing the chickens. It's on an open pit barbecue charcoal pit. We can cook up to 1,000 chickens at one time, and so we would make our chicken dinners available for the non-clam eaters. Places like Francis Farm, they're a dying thing, you know, and I'm just a caretaker of it right now. And I'm sure I'll pass it on to my sons and their sons after that. But we need more places like this. It's that uniqueness to have an outdoor outing where your family can come and spend the day together, quality time, affordable food, clean, pristine facilities, and just relax and feel safe and enjoy themselves in a nice country atmosphere. Where do you go and find that? You don't. You know, we're all hustle and bustle. We're running around everywhere. The world's crazy, but the Francis Farm has something unique about it. Not only for the people who come here, but for the people who've worked here over the years. It's just, there's so much history and quaintness and old New England. That's my job right now, is the caretaker of my time, to bring it back and maintain that.